Hello, everyone. How you doing today? I am back with my co-host, with the mo-host, Ian Waffles. Ian, say hi.
Hi there, it's me, Mo-host.
And today we are here to talk about something a little different. Usually, Ian and I we talk about different arcs of the Archie Sonic comic book. If you have not listened to that, it is our podcast, Sonic Comic Chaos. We do it every so often. We don't really have a schedule, but that's not what we're here to talk about today, Ian. Ian, why are we here? Like for this podcast, not like on a metaphysical
In
sense.
general. Okay. Well, today we're here to talk about the second Sonic movie because it has finally graced our eyeballs with its presence and our earballs with its sound. We are here to discuss and dissect it. So yeah,
Wait, do you have ear balls? Is that
I
a
do have earballs. It's part of my being Kirby. So
yes? By the way, we should probably mention Ian when he was seeing the movie, he got a little too excited and he choked on some popcorn. So he's unfortunately dead again. Uh,
again,
so his connection to our mortal plane is a little shaky, so his audio might not be the best. But we're just gotta get those Chaos Emeralds again to bring him back to life. So just bear with
indeed.
us for the next couple episodes, and we'll get him back up and running. But
Thank you.
before we get into any discussion,
Hmm.
I feel like I should say this will have spoilers. So I don't know. Knowing Ian and I, the video you have clicked on is probably well over an hour. I don't know how you thought we were going to talk about it without going into spoilers. Uh, but but spoilers, we're going to spoil everything. We'll spoil things that aren't even this movie. I'll spoil your child's school play. You know, at the end of Thoroughly Modern Millie, they end up together.
I'll spoil your life. Spoiler alert, you die at the end. So get over it.
Ugh.
Just like me.
But yeah. Anyway, but you weren't expecting a Thoroughly Modern Millie reference at the beginning of the Sonic movie review. But anyway, shout out to all my theater peeps out there who know what that is, all one of you. But so, just to start this off, Ian, for those of the audience who might not know, and for me, because we've not really talked about it, what are your thoughts on the first Sonic movie? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Like, did this second movie have like a high bar to reach to surpass that first movie, or what are your thoughts on it?
Well, with the first one, I really enjoyed it for the most part. I think what it pretty much nailed immediately is that it gave Sonic a really good amount of heart, like a relatable, because especially with more recent games and just kind of Sonic in general, kind of the idea of him is he's supposed to be cool and you're just kind of supposed to admire and kind of be endeared to him through his spirit and his adventurous nature and his charm. But what I really liked about this movie is it really played into this idea of him being this little kid who's lost and wants a family and a connection. And I think that it did such a good job at establishing that at the start of the movie that kind of carried Sonic's portion of the story to where I was just kind of engaged with it on that level. And considering they changed the design, it was just kind of fun to look at and watch and see Sonic do a bunch of crazy stuff. Combined with that, I really liked Dr. Robotnik. I thought he was really well done. And I especially really liked that um, the way they went about it is they actually kind of gave him a backstory, gave him a motivation of like he was like this nerdy kid who was picked on, and then he made it to where the bully who picked on him was breathing through a straw, and he just became like mad with like power and trying to basically be better than everybody in the room.
That did that happen? I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, he talks to Wade in the um precinct or whatever, and he talks about like how dumb he is, and he's like, yeah, the first person who said something like that to me ended up with having to
Oh,
drink soup through a straw.
okay. You're talking about Robotnik. I don't know why. I thought you were talking about Sonic.
I thought I had said Robotnik.
I mean, look. I'm tired. The point is, anyway. So you like the first movie though?
Yeah, I like the first movie. I think the main characters were well done, and I was able to follow through it. I wasn't someone who was really bothered by the framing device. I thought it was good.
I agree for the most part. I have a video up on this channel about the first Sonic movie, so anyone who's curious about my thoughts on it can scroll back and watch it. Yeah, I think it's a pretty decent movie. You know, it's not. If you tasked me with making a Sonic movie, it's certainly not the movie I would have made. And I do think it has some issues. Like, first of all, I still don't know what Robotnik did in that movie that was illegal. Uh, like, like he's working for the government to track down Sonic. He tracks down Sonic. They blast him into space, and then the government comes to Tom. And they're like, "Thank God you helped us get rid of Robotnik." It's like, wait, what? Shouldn't he be under arrest? Shouldn't everyone be under arrest here? Like, um, and also I thought the movie had like a weird message where it's like Tom wants to go to San Francisco, and be a cop there, and so, like, but the movie treats it like he's selfish and like he's making the wrong decision for wanting to like move on from his small town and to like bigger things. And like I get what the movie's trying to say because like from Sonic's perspective, Tom has everything he's ever wanted, and he's actively choosing to throw it away. But like the movie almost seems to like agree with Sonic on that. But overall, I think it's a very fun movie. It's a decent film. Although I've only seen it twice, and one of those times was with director's commentary, so it's not the freshest in my brain. But yeah, so overall, first movie's pretty good. But so going into the second movie, I feel like we have to talk about the most important thing in this movie, which is Sonic's taste in Oreos. He has impeccable taste because he chooses the best kinds of Oreos, which are the thins. I just had to get that out there because I am constantly made fun of by everyone around me for preferring the thins. But Sonic agrees with me.
Well, if you had to have one person validate your lifestyle choices, I guess Sonic would be a good one.
I mean, yeah. Just people are always like, "What do you mean you don't like double stuff?" It's like, no, it's too much stuff. You need to have a good cream to cookie ratio, and double stuff is too much stuff. Like, anyway, moving on from that tangent.
Everyone in the audience is like, "Wait, I'm confused."
First, I'm talking about obscure plays that I did in high school, and now I'm talking about Oreos. What will I talk about next?
Hopefully, eventually, Sonic.
Hopefully, at some point, maybe. But regardless, so let's get into it. With this movie, Ian, just like, what are your like general thoughts about it? Like, did you like it? Did you not like it? What were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was pretty okay. Basically, without going into too deep detail, it was a movie where it felt like every time it started to get going, it would kind of pull back. And each of the different times it would kind of pull back were either a little frustrating or annoying. But the times where it was good, I was really enjoying myself. I just never felt like the movie was able to peak on any of those ideas in a way to where I was like left the theater going, oh, I need to rewatch the movie so I can see that again. And that'll be kind of something as we go through the movie that we can talk about where it's like, it just feels like, oh, this is getting really good. And then something would kind of come in and take me out of it or would annoy me or would just not be as fun. And then, oh, we're kind of getting go. And then, we kind of back off and we move on. So to me, it's a movie that's just kind of okay. I think it's probably still better than the first one just because it has more spectacle to it. But as far as the just like wanting to sit down and just kind of like vibe to a movie, I think I could probably more easily watch the first movie and just kind of like zone out and then kind of just have fun. Whereas this one, it kind of just had so many moments where it took me out of it. So don't dislike it at all, but it's a mixed bag for sure.
I 100% agree with you. For me, with this movie, I feel like it's almost similar to like when we were talking about Spider-Man No Way Home a while back, where I described that movie to you where it's like that movie has a lot of great moments, which are moments that as a Spider-Man fan I have always wanted to see, and getting to see those moments are like the coolest thing ever. But there's also like a movie that they had to make around those moments. And it's a very similar thing for this movie. We see all this stuff from the Sonic games where I'm like, whoa. And like, there are moments in this movie where I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever. Getting to see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles team up together. That shot where they're all running together, seeing fucking Super Sonic, like that moment just had me like grinning from ear to ear. But there's also a movie that they had to make to get to those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like I could best describe my experience watching this movie in 3 sentences, which are, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's really dumb. Oh, that's really cool. Now repeat that about 3 to 4 times, give or take, and then you have my experience watching this movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would go through that cycle all in the same scene.
Yeah.
Like prime example, like if we're just going right into it. So with the first movie, right, a big point of controversy was the humans. A lot of people going into it were like, I don't want humans. I would have just rather this been like a fully CG Sonic movie where we just get Sonic characters and it's good and fun. And in the first movie, I didn't really have a problem with any of the human characters. I thought they all served their purpose. I didn't think any of them overstayed their welcome. I like the dynamic between Sonic and Tom. I like the dynamic between Tom and Maddie. I think Robotnik, obviously, and Stone are really fun. And in this movie, I like Tom and Maddie. I like Robotnik and Stone. I hated every other human character that showed up. I think the worst, there are two really bad offenders, which are the Maddie's sister and Wade.
Yeah.
So there's the scene, right, where Sonic's got the map and the map starts to glow, and there's a kind of funny line from Wade at the beginning of the scene where it's like, oh, this is my man cave, I'd like to bring a woman here at some point, which I was like, okay, that's fun. But then
sorry, go ahead. No, you finish.
Okay. And then, we get the scene going where Longclaw shows up, and it's a beautiful scene. It looks great. Longclaw's hologram looks like, like constellations, and it's really cool. You get this lore about the Master Emerald, and, it's a really actually heartfelt moment for Sonic, where he's like saying good. It's like his last chance to like say goodbye to like his mother figure. And then you just have this fucker in the background go like, hey, is that your dad? It's like, shut up, go away. Wait,
boy.
You gonna say about that scene?
No, I was gonna say I'm more or less like Wade. To me, I was just mostly annoyed with all the humans or with the wedding people, except for the gun soldiers, just because I thought it was so stupid that they referred to the guns commander as Olive Garden guy. I thought that was amazing, but but otherwise, like I liked Wade just because I think I would have preferred if Wade was the friend of Sonic in the first movie, because I always think like the problem with Sonic and them giving him a human partner is that they always give him a boring human partner. Like in Sonic X, one of everybody's favorite episodes is the one where he goes on his little date with the girl in the wheelchair, and he just like hangs out with her, and they go get into shenanigans or whatever. And it's like Sonic is able to like see this little girl and want to help her because she can't, go the places he wants to go. And so he's able to give her that experience. And with Wade, I think it would be way more fun to hang out with him, just because this idea of like Sonic hanging out with this loser cop who just wants to like do better in the world, but like Sonic keeps messing up his day. That would be way more funny or more fun than just like boring Tom who's like, I want to go like be cop somewhere else. That would be neat. So I enjoy Wade's energy, but I totally understand if that like took you out of the scene. But I really like his joke about like how he's trying to get involved, he's trying to help, and he's like Knuckles. Oh man, I went to a kid with a guy named Knuckles. This is the same kid. Oh, we're screwed. And it's like he was just so into it. He's like, oh man, guys, I don't know if you know what you're up against.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I think I disagree with you about Tom, just because I think with Sonic, I think he needs kind of a more grounded presence. I mean, I hate Chris with a fiery passion of 1,000 burning suns, but I think Tom just kind of provide that more like that like more stable, like kind of fatherly presence that this interpretation of Sonic kind of needs. But I mean, I don't know, to each their own.
Yeah, but no, I totally get that. But if you want to go off about the wedding characters, you go right ahead.
Okay. So the wedding scene, right? So already it's off to a bad start because the sister who was funny in the last movie, and there's a fun joke in this movie about like where the fiance, I don't know his name, I don't care to remember his name, it goes like, she really doesn't like you, and he's like, yeah, I know, which is like that was a fun bit.
Yeah.
But she goes, you better not ruin my wedding. It's like, geez, I wonder how this is gonna go. Do you think that the wedding is gonna go smoothly and that nothing bad is gonna happen? I don't know. So already it's off to a bad start. And then you have that bit with the ring, which was like, whatever. I thought it was drawn out a little too long, but maybe I would need to see the movie again. I don't know. Also, it was incredibly predictable. But so then you get the gun reveal, right? And that is a genuinely cool reveal. And I think that reveal is good for like a one-off joke. Like that, the bit with the priest had me fucking dying in the theater where he opens up the Bible and it's got the taser
in the Bible. Yeah.
But and that bit is good for like, that reveal and for like the joke about like, is everyone here an agent? And if you want to redeem the fiance, if you want to make it so like he's actually like in love with her and like, that was actually a real thing, have him be like the one that breaks them out of the facility or something. Just like a quick thing, because we don't care about these characters. Like what? Like the movie at no point makes any effort to make us care about this fiance or about is her name Rachel? Her name might be Rachel, right?
Yeah.
Or about Rachel. She's in like maybe combined 60 seconds of the movie before the wedding scene. And again, it's asking us to, remember her from the first movie and to care about her from the first movie. But in the first movie, she's really only there for the comedy, like, and to yell like funny lines. But so instead of just, again, having the fiance like be the one who breaks them out of the prison and be like, oh, hey, I do love you. And then like they kiss and then Sonic goes off and we never see him again. Instead, what they do is they decide that they need to give Rachel a fucking 2-hour-long scene, it felt like, of her riding up on this golf cart and having a standoff with the gun commander, and then the guy jumps in front of her, and then there's the plane, and it's stupid. Like, it didn't need to be there. This movie is over 2 hours long, and you could have comfortably shaved 15 minutes off of it. It was like, ugh, that scene perturbed me. It was like, I think that is the prime example of the like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is dumb. Oh, this is cool. Because immediately after that is when you get like the temple and you get them running through with the Master Emerald and it's all cool. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, we'll talk about the post credit scene later. But I was like, I remember sitting there in the theater while that scene was going on, thinking, if they don't fucking reveal Shadow at the end of this movie, like this is not worth it. Like, but so. Yeah, but anyway, overall, I did enjoy the movie, and I think there were just, yeah, again, it was just like there were scenes like that, or like with the bar that they went to, that I thought that was kind of dumb, like the dance off. I get what they were going for; they wanted to have like a moment of like Sonic and Tails like bonding, but I thought there were better ways to accomplish that, and also if you must have them have a dance off. Maybe when Sonic goes to play a song, you play
a Sonic song.
Right? How much better would that scene have been if he grabs the aux cord, he plugs the phone in, and then it starts playing like It Doesn't Matter or something.
Yeah, just anything. Like just anything cool. Like if you wanted to have like I don't know, you could even play I Am All of Me. I don't care. Just play something. Just play a Sonic song. It's not hard. He's got funky beat. Dude, if they had played like Studiopolis.
Oh, God, that would have been good. That would have been cool. Well, and also Tom's ringtone is still Green Hill when it goes off in the wedding, which, first of all, dude, silence your phone when you're in a wedding. What is wrong with you? It should at least play Emerald Hill, right? Like it's so weird because at the end of the last movie, too, they play Green Hill, and it's like there are other songs in this franchise. But yeah, I don't know. I think that scene in the bar was just kind of like whatever. It had some funny bits. It had a reference to one of your favorite Sonic games with Miles Electric not being able to communicate things.
Yes, yeah. Indeed. Well, speaking of Tails, if I may, I felt like he was probably one of the worst parts of the movie, just because, not because he himself was annoying, but because I just kept forgetting that he even existed, because he just doesn't have a presence at all. The only good scene with him is when he covers up Sonic with his tails. Otherwise, he's just kind of there. And his whole thing about like, oh, I really like Sonic or whatever, it's like all off screen. He's like, yeah, I was made fun of. And then I watched you and I thought you were pretty cool. And yeah, I think you're pretty cool. And then they dance and now they're friends. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is stupid.
Yeah, that again. Well, and one thing I thought was weird is how, like, in other Sonic media, Tails gets his nickname from Sonic. And I feel like that was a moment that you really needed in this movie to show like their bond, because Tails, he picks up Sonic and he goes like, oh, I was, people didn't talk to me. I didn't have any friends because of, my Tails. And it's like, it doesn't work as well. It works better if it's Sonic going like, no, man, you should be proud of your Tails. Like they make you special. Like they, like that, like you should own that. Like, and that's why he gives them the nickname Tails. But like, it doesn't work if Tails is going like, yeah, I gave myself a nickname after my, birth defect that people make fun of me for.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't know. I wouldn't say Tails was bad, but like, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at him compared to the other character who got introduced in this, which was Knuckles, I think he was definitely the much weaker of the two.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't know, which sucks too, because I've never been a big fan of Tails, not because I dislike him, but just I've never seen, other than pre-boot Archie, in with him, I've never really loved a Tails, and even in Preboot, like I probably rank him like a B plus or whatever. Like he's never been a favorite. So I was like, oh man, this movie, it only has to worry about Knuckles, Eggman, Sonic, and Tails, and Eggman and Knuckles are going to be on their side, and so Sonic and Tails can bond. Maybe I'll really like Tails. And it, like, by the end, like I said, I just did not care about him at all.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I think is interesting about just Sonic as a whole is that relationship with Tails. How it's like, they're like they're brothers. Like, that's one, like, there's a line in the one of our favorite Archie Sonic stories, House of Cards, where he goes like, where they Tails goes like, I thought you were my brother, and like they have a really close bond, and like you would not get that impression from this movie. Like and part of it might just be because, like, he and Knuckles get introduced like back to back, and so like you don't get the impression of like, oh yeah, Sonic and Tails have known each other forever, and so when a new person shows up, like they're going into it with this like unbreakable bond already. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like you needed another scene of just the two of them, or just to make the scenes that they had together better.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree. I feel like, well, and also I just think like the moment they created for the dance off, like I'm not one of those like nitpickers like, oh, blah blah blah, why can't Sonic just freeze time or whatever. Like I get it, you gotta nerf him or whatever, and it's fine. But to me it didn't feel reasonable that they're just like holding them and gonna throw them into like some random fire, and they're like, we can't do anything. I'm like, you're wrong. You're literally wrong.
Sonic gets hit by a fucking missile at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Well, and also with Tails, it was weird because it's like, it felt like they were going for like an arc with him where he's like, oh, Sonic, I'm not fearless like you. And, it seemed like they were going for like, oh, well, his arc in this movie is going to be about like conquering his fears and, learning to, be strong and act on his own, like in Sonic Adventure, like his arc in Sonic Adventure. And then that just kind of doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sad thing is, like, I don't know how much more there is to say about Tails. Like,
yeah.
Well, I guess if you want to move on to Knuckles, then we could talk about him.
Yeah, you can go first if you want, since I started Tails.
So my thoughts on Knuckles, in this movie are, I actually really liked him. I thought Idris Elba did a good job. I remember going into this, thinking like, because Ben Schwartz obviously is not a teenager, doesn't really sound like a teenager, but the way he voices Sonic does give off this like youthful exuberance, that this version of the character kind of needs. And with Idris Elba's Knuckles, I was listening, I was like, he does not sound young. But then, like, neither did, then I, listening to him more in this movie, and also thinking back to like, neither did Dan Green, neither does the guy from SA2 and SA1. Like, none of them sound young. Like, it's just,
that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, so, pretty much immediately, I got used to him, and I think he did really well. And honestly, I think Knuckles was one of, if not the highlight of the movie. I think he got some of the best moments. He got some of like the biggest laughs, with the one of them being like, you think these robots can, oh, they're stairs. That was really fun. Yeah, I don't know. I really like Knuckles.
Yeah, if there was one thing that stood out to me the whole movie, was Knuckles. I thought he was fun from beginning to end. I thought everything he said was really funny. I thought he was really endearing. I really like the scene of him and Sonic on the beach talking to each other, and a moment that nobody really brings up is, I like the part where when Eggman betrays him, he's like, how could you do this to me? You were my friend. I trusted you. And I felt like that, or he says like, I trusted you. You were my friend. Like, you were my friend is the second part. And I really liked that, just because, Knuckles' whole thing is about like honor or duty in this movie. And I kind of like the idea that to him, he was like, oh, Robotnik's my friend. Like, he's helping me. He's doing these things. And he didn't just say like, oh, you were my partner, or you were my teammate, or I trusted you. Like, to Knuckles, he had found someone who was his friend. So I just think that was a really nice moment, and it made me like just care for Knuckles even more. So
yeah, how dare you attack me in my hour of sorrow? Was another really good line. One thing I thought was interesting about Knuckles in this movie was, there's like 3 different occasions where I thought he was about to start gliding, and then he doesn't.
Yeah, they didn't give him his gliding.
Which, I mean, I get, if you're like a casual moviegoer, if you're looking at Knuckles' design and suddenly he just like starts floating, you're like nothing about his design indicates that he's aerodynamic. So like I get why they would not have him have that power, but like I said, there are like three separate occasions in the movie, like the bit with where they're going off the cliff, um another bit that I can't remember, but it'll come to me, and like the bit where he jumps off the plane, which was another funny bit with Knuckles. I kept going like, oh, here's where he's gonna start gliding, and he just never does.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But
which,
it was funny to see him just go crashing into the ground.
yeah, it's funny. Which I guess then we can move into some stuff surrounding Knuckles. So the Master Emerald, we find out, is the 7 Chaos Emeralds combined into the Master Emerald, which I was fine with because I was like, oh, okay, that's just like giving a nod to the Chaos Emeralds, but like maybe they don't want to do like the thing with like, oh, we have 7 MacGuffins that we have to collect because like so many different franchises do that. But the fact that they gave a nod to the Chaos Emeralds, I was like, oh, that's cool. But then the Master Emerald breaks, and we see that the 7 Emeralds are inside of it, which is like, okay. And then Knuckles just puts the Master Emerald back together without the Chaos Emeralds, and it still apparently works and like has power. Which I thought him putting the shards back together was cool because obviously that's a thing he does in the games. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. It wasn't like a big deal. Like it wasn't like a big sticking point, but it's something that diverges from the games. So I figured it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think it's something to where I thought it was a good idea of just consolidating the lore for the movie. That way, if you want to go on a bigger adventure, then you can collect all the emeralds, and you can have more places. But you don't want to like do it so quickly.
Yeah. And then here's the note. Here's the laugh at Ken Penders note. So one thing I thought was interesting is when we get that flashback, for those of you who don't know, listening to this, Ken Penders has been on a bit of a trip recently because he claims that because we see Knuckles' father in this movie, and he's obviously portrayed as a scientist doing genetic engineering, and so Ken Penders was a little upset by that because it's obviously a ripoff of his interpretation of Knuckles' father, Locke. And also, we see the Echidnas using the Chaos Emeralds for the only thing the Chaos Emeralds have ever been used for, which is granting someone massive amounts of power, which is obviously a ripoff of Enerjack. Yeah, there's been a bit of kerfuffle between Ken Penders and Paramount.
Yeah, exactly. No, and obviously the little feathers under Knuckles' dad in the movie, those are references to Locke's beard. Can't hide it from me.
Yeah, and obviously the owls that we see fighting the echidnas. If you squint really hard, you can see a Harvey Who in there. Wait, is he a Penders character?
Who?
Harvey Who.
Harvey Who?
Yeah,
yes, he is.
He's a Penders character. Oh, well, even worse. But I will say, when I saw that one echidna using the Master Emerald and him like floating and wielding the power, like yeah, like my thoughts would go like, okay, that kind of looks like Enerjack. But like again, it's like that's what the emeralds do though. Like
yeah,
like it's as close to an Enerjack as just a Hyper Knuckles. Like it's which I don't, which Ken Penders doesn't know that. It's like I don't know. It's silly. It's really only worth bringing up for like a laugh. I will say though, I really want to see the clown show of Ken Penders trying to bring Paramount to court over this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, can you imagine being the judge? You had to go to like a decade of law school, and you're sitting up there, and Ken Penders brings up his fucking diagrams of like, if you see, Your Honor, this echidna and this echidna, who are both cartoon characters, are clearly showing very distinct similarities. And I created this echidna, and they stole this echidna from me. So I believe you can find that I am deserving of damages, Your Honor.
And he's like, I guess. I don't care. Sure. And it's like, dang it, he wins again.
He wins again.
How does he keep doing this?
It's funny. We were talking about this over DMs. I've never harbored any ill will for Penders over what happened with Archie because, in my opinion, that was Sega's fault. In my opinion, Sega should have just gone like, if they didn't want to pay him royalties, they could have just bought him out. They could have just been like, look, Ken, how many zeros do we have to put on the check to never hear from you again? Like,
well, and an aspect nobody really, I think, knows about is that it seems like they lost the files for everybody because the guy who created Mammoth Mogul owns the right to him too.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is that it's like that's an argument people bring up. Well, it's like, well, if they paid Penders, they'd have to pay everyone. It's like, and like, oh no, creators getting paid for their work? God forbid, from a multi-million-dollar company. Shaking in my boots just thinking of the thought. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's funny how he's just managed to like piss away all of that like benefit of the doubt I've given him. Where it's like, no, it was Sega's fault. It's like, I mean, it's still Sega's fault, but like, man, dude, you are not helping yourself here. Yeah. So one thing also wanted to bring up. So Knuckles is like, we were on the eve of our greatest battle, and we needed the Emerald's power, and we went and you escaped. So what were they? Who were they fighting? Like, what were they? Was it Chaos? Were they about to go fight Chaos?
I think that's in reference to the start of the first movie when they went to find Sonic and they fought the Long Claw. So I'm guessing like other owls maybe got involved in that too.
Maybe I got the impression that they were like
because I thought Sonic says on that day we both lost everything.
Well, yeah. So well, that was confusing to me too. I got the impression that maybe what it was the echidnas were about to go fight a big battle, and they were like, we need the Master Emerald to win this, so we got to go get the map from Longclaw. Sonic escapes with the map, so they're like, well, I guess we'll just go try and fight without it, and then they all died.
Yeah.
So it's like, who were they fighting then? And it's like, maybe it was the owls, but I got the impression that Longclaw was kind of on her own out there, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a retcon. I mean, they probably just retconned it together, which is fine.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of what I assumed they meant by it.
Yeah. Well, and one thing, I remember with the last movie, something that people were talking about, something I was thinking of was like having the idea of there being more tension between Sonic and Knuckles because the echidnas killed Longclaw.
Yeah.
And they kind of touch on that in this, but they don't have Sonic be like, I'm gonna kill you because your people killed Longclaw, which is like is good because like it's probably not good to have Sonic be a racist. So I'm glad that they touched on it, like they acknowledged it, but they don't have that be like a big sticking point in the conflict between them. And there's not a point where Sonic has to go, I don't know if I can trust this echidna. Like, no, it's just he just gets over it. Like which I appreciated.
Yeah, no, I agree too. Like, I think you could have got some good conflict out of that if the movie was more focused on that aspect of both their characters, that they're like this lineage or whatever. But I'm kind of glad they didn't. Because, yeah, like, I don't know if they would have been able to handle it properly enough to, by the third act, to get them to be on the same team.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I thought was interesting about this movie is that, like, that dynamic between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, when we see it at the end of this movie, is really solid. Where, like, you have Tails who's all smart and, like, whatever, and you have Knuckles who's, like, kind of, naive and he doesn't know, and you have Sonic who's all cocky. Like, I thought, like, they gelled really well together. And, like, it sucks that they really only come together at the end of the movie. But, yeah, I felt like you could very easily have a whole movie driven by that dynamic.
We haven't talked about, I guess, Robotnik, if you want to talk about him.
Oh, he's fun. Not much more I can really say about that.
Yeah, I think I agree with what my friend said, where it's like, I think I kind of liked his performance in the first movie more because it felt more like he was trying to actually be a character rather than Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
This one, he just kind of felt like he was full Jim Carrey. So it was kind of like a thing where it's like, well, he is entertaining. So, like, I'm fine with just, like, embracing it and just having fun. But it definitely didn't feel like, he's playing, like, the character of Eggman.
Well, and that's something that's weird, though, right? Is, like, Eggman's never really been consistent. You have, like, the Archie and Sat AM version, which are, like, this maniacal, like, truly evil character. But then later on, he could still be like goofy and fun. Then you have like, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog or like Boom, where he's all goofy. Then you have like the 2000s games where he's kind of like in the middle, and you have the adventure era, and then you have like the 2010. Like, he's very much all over the place. I would like to see Jim Carrey kind of embody those more the more like menacing traits of Robotnik, and I would hope that in maybe the third movie, because there are the rumors going around like, oh, is Jim Carrey going to retire from acting? And it's like, I find that very hard to believe that if Paramount came to him like, hey, Jim, could you just like stand in front of a green screen and like talk to some fake animals and just do whatever? Like, just like you said, like it very much just seemed like they just pointed the camera at him in this movie and we're just like, Jim, just just go off. It's fine. I find it very hard to believe that he'd be like, oh, I don't know if I should come back for another one of these. Like,
Yeah, I think he'd probably be willing to. Like sometimes actors like just it's kind of like whenever you like if you're really just having a bad day at work, you're just like, you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna come in tomorrow, and then like you're just like, whatever, I'll go back. I think
yeah,
it's one of those things where he's just like he did a movie, he's getting older or whatever. He might just be like, you know what? I think I might be good. And then like 2 years later or like a year later when they start shooting again or they come up with the idea, they're like, hey, you want to do it? And he's like, why not?
yeah. Well, and he literally said in an interview, like, I'm getting older. I'd like to find a role I can just like settle into. And it's like I don't know why he would say that and then turn around and be like, and now that's why I'm done forever. Like, I don't know. But so yeah, a Robotnik in this movie that it's similar to the first one. He's just like, but like more. But I mean, there is an excuse where like he was alone on the mushroom planet. He kind of lost his mind a little bit. So I think I liked him. I don't know. I think I don't think he was because in the first movie, I think he's like very clearly like the standout of it. Like he's the best part of that first movie. Whereas this, I think there are other parts of it that like I think kind of take up that spot with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Good call on that. I didn't even have Robotnik in my notes. I guess another thing we talk about is how do you feel about this characterization for Sonic?
I mean, it's kind of similar to how he was in the first movie, right? Unless, I mean, was there anything specific that stood out to you as being different?
Uh, you know, I think in the first movie he was a little more tempered by Tom. But again, it's been a while since I've seen that first movie, so maybe I'm mistaken. And I do remember liking his characterization in that first movie. In this one, I think he's a little more out there. Like he's going full all in with like the quips and with the I it's kind of hard to explain. It feels like almost like with what's happening with Jim Carrey and Eggman, they kind of do with Sonic too, you know?
Yeah, no, because I was gonna say I noticed that too, where it kind of felt like he was a bit, I don't know, too over the not too over the top, but just like too loud and just kind of too energetic to the point where it's just kind of like, all right, you're kind of annoying, kind of not, like I don't know. It was this weird in between because yeah, like the with the first movie I was really endeared to him, but in this one all he really has is like I want to be a hero, and it's like okay, like that's fine or whatever. But I'm not really that invested in why you want to be a hero. That's just kind of your thing or whatever. So like him, like to me, well, especially since he's got, I feel like even more pop culture references that just kind of show up for no reason and just aren't that endearing or engaging. Um, Whereas I think like the best line he has in the movie is when or like as far as like trash talking, is when he's talking to Knuckles, and Knuckles like, oh, I've trained for this my whole life. He's like, oh, dude, and I have no training, and I'm ahead of you. Oh, that's gotta be embarrassing.
I
I'm
did
like,
like
yeah,
that line.
that feels like Sonic. But everything else just kind of felt like generic movie talk of like, oh, this is my moment. I'm gonna be the hero. And then other than that, it was just kind of like,
Yeah, I agree. I did like that idea of like, Sonic, where he's like, "Oh, this is it." Like like I really liked that scene with Sonic and Tom in the boat. Um I
Mhm.
think that speech that Tom gives to Sonic is really cool. And you're right. It is very generic like, there'll come a time when you'll have to step up and you need to be ready for it. But I don't know, something about maybe it's the way it's delivered. Maybe I thought that was cool. Um
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing tropes. When I say generic, I just simply mean that it did the trope, and I wasn't that engaged. Yeah,
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with doing any trope. Like it's just how you do it. I mean,
Yeah.
the first movie, he's just like it's any of the tropes where it's like, oh, he's like the alien who's not from this world, and he wants a place to belong, but they did it well, so I liked it.
And with this version of Sonic, I think one of the bigger problems I had was that with Sonic in all his other incarnations, he's loud and obnoxious and out there, but he's usually portrays having like this almost like silent wisdom about him. Um
Yeah,
where like, in like Sonic X where he takes the girl out, where he's like, I don't care about like, going to see the president. Like that doesn't matter. Whereas with this version of Sonic, you'd almost buy that he'd absolutely be like, oh, I'm gonna go see the president? Like that's awesome. Like or with like '06, where he's like, hey, nothing starts until you take action. Like he has a certain like wisdom to him. And with this version of Sonic, it very much feels just like, no, he's just like he's just a kid who's excited. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't need Sonic to be like this perfect character who knows all the answers. Like, my favorite version of Sonic is the pre-boot Archie, who's a very flawed character, and is very like is portrayed a lot more like probably the closest to like a real person that any of the Sonics are. But I guess the difference between like that version and this version is like the maturity level. Like this Sonic is just and his immaturity isn't like that's not a bug, that's a feature of this Sonic. Like that's a point of this movie is that Sonic needs to grow up. And it's just that's not exactly what I was looking for out of I'm ever looking for out of like characterization for Sonic. But so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't dislike him. He's definitely not like the worst version of Sonic I've seen. But he's far from like the best.
Yeah, I mostly just thought he was kind of okay. Really, it was Knuckles who stood out to me the most. But yeah, I guess all that's really left is to talk about like kind of the big set pieces. Was there any one of them that really stood out to you as like, oh, you really enjoyed it?
I don't want to be obvious and talk about the final battle, but like that's really all that's coming to me. Like because it was, and not because like the rest of the movie is bad. Like like the snowboarding scene is very fun. The chase at the beginning is fun. But that final battle is spectacular. And I said before how like this movie was going through cycles of like piquing my interest and doing something incredibly stupid and then rescuing it with something cool. It felt like once we got to the third act, that's where the movie became more like consistently solid. And I think that final fight against the Death Egg robot just as a whole, like when we see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles start to work together and they're like fighting back to back and they're running at it and they're doing like the Sonic Heroes thing, which actually fun story. So for the audience, I told you this already, Ian. I went to see this movie with my little sister and she got really mad that Tails and Knuckles could also like run fast. She was like, "No, Sonic is the only one who's supposed to be able to use super speed." Like,
and you're like, "Oh, you sweet summer child."
Yeah, and it's like I wanted to lean over. It's like, well, I mean, technically Sonic's the fastest, but like they're all kind of fast. It's like this is not a conversation I want to have in a movie theater right now. But so, and then obviously, like, we'll get into Supersonic in a minute. But like, are there any that stuck out to you that I didn't mention?
Yeah, I think the fight with Sonic and Knuckles was quite good. I thought all the shots were really well done. Huh? Oh, I thought all the shots were really well done, and I think that the just like the basically the way like Knuckles eventually gets the upper hand, I thought was really well handled and really engaging and fun. And I just liked how many hits Sonic could dish out against Knuckles, and then he would just keep going. But yeah, there was just a lot of stuff in that fight that I thought was really good, and it was another example where I'm like, man, if we had just cut part of the wedding scene, we could have made this fight longer.
Yeah,
so.
That fight is great. I can't believe I forgot about that. I'm glad you remembered. That fight is great. It's straight out of like a Sonic comic or like like literally Sonic X has an episode where they fight. It's great. There's a lot of great shots in it. One thing that I thought was a little lacking though is the scene where Knuckles is going to like punch Sonic over and over again, and he's dodging, but like Knuckles is very clearly punching where Sonic isn't in a lot of the fight. Or in a lot of that scene.
Yeah.
Like he's throwing a lot of punches and it feels like a lot of them are just like Sonic will like dodge to a place, he'll stay there, Knuckles will continue punching in another area, and then he'll like, it was just, I don't know, that was odd to me. But yeah, that fight was really cool though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then yeah, we can talk about the final fight if you want to go ahead.
Oh god. See, that Supersonic bit had me like just grinning from ear to ear. I just felt like this swell of just emotions when Supersonic showed up. And like I will say, I feel like that on the one hand, I kind of wish the transformation had a little more gravitas to it, like it's just like the emeralds fly up, they quickly like circle, they go into his chest, and he's like, poof. So it would have been cool if it had been like, like in the games where like they swirl around him and then they like, they absorb into him and they're all bright and colorful. But like I get why they didn't do that. They wanted the focus to be on, the family dynamic, and now that's what's used to power the emeralds. And yeah, that's a reference to the games where it's shown in Sonic Adventure how their hearts are what give the emeralds power. But yeah, that bit, and the way he just takes apart the Death Egg robot and like he goes to swing and it just stops. I saw one review that said Supersonic's cool, but when he shows up all the tension deflates immediately because he can't get hurt. And it's like, yeah, but I kind of like that. Like, we got our big fight scene. We got to see Sonic get the crap kicked out of him. It feels good to just watch him just win. Like, just be like, now you're done. Like, and he just takes apart the Death Egg robot. That seems great.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing I had a problem with it was just simply wishing that the sky was anything but a boring blue. but otherwise, like, just to set the tone, like if it was sunset or something, it was like it went dark as soon as he steps on him, and then Sonic shows up, and now there's light in the sky. Like I thought that would have been a cool idea, but other than that, no, I really liked the fact that Sonic doesn't say like a single quip like that whole time, like he's just serious. And he catches he catches the hand, or he like destroys it. Like it was genuinely enjoyable. Like I really liked that moment. So
yeah.
Yeah,
it's like, did you ever think we would get here where we were seeing like Super Sonic in a movie, in a big budget like Hollywood movie? Like I sure as fuck not. Like
no, definitely not. And I think that as regardless of anything I have to say about the movie, I'm very, very happy it exists, because now new generation of kids are going to grow up thinking that Sonic is the coolest thing ever, thinking that Knuckles is cool, thinking that like Tails is really cool, and getting to see like a Super Sonic on a big screen. Like it's hard I think for like us to like really appreciate that. Like, oh yeah, like there are kids who still like Sonic, because when we think of like the 2010s era, especially, we're like, there's a bunch of bad games. Like, there's no TV show going on either, and like it's like, man, people probably don't even know who Sonic is. But like this movie is doing super well, and there's been a ton of stories from like reviewers I've watched where they're just like, man, my theater was just full of kids and they were just having the time of their life. So I'm really happy that no matter what, this series is introducing Sonic to a brand new generation of people who are going to love and care about him, and who get to grow up seeing Super Sonic on the big screen. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, and maybe it'll give Sega the kick in the ass they need to put him back in the games. It's been over a decade. But I digress. But yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you said about like the kids, especially like I said, I took my sister to see it. She's 8, and she loved it. She actually said it, and I quote, that this was her new favorite movie.
Well, good.
Which is cool. And I completely agree. I think it's great that, I think if nothing else, this movie justifies its existence by first of all being good, but second of all, again, like showing people who might not have otherwise known that Sonic's this thing and he's cool, and it's got all this lore to it, and it's got these characters who are fun and interesting. Yeah, I feel like I said the exact same thing you said, but worse. But
no problem. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about the movie.
But yeah, so moving on, let's talk about the post-credit scene. So for those of you who didn't stay for the post-credit scene, because fun fact, my theater, my sister, and I think like 2 other people were the only people who stayed for the post-credit scene. Which, to be fair, most of the rest of the theater was like parents with their children, so I can imagine they were like, oh god, the movie's done. Okay. But so for those of you who didn't see it, it's the aftermath of the fight with Robotnik. The Death Egg robot is in ruins. It's metal, pieces are everywhere, and the GUN agents show up, and they're talking about how, oh, Robotnik's probably dead, and then they're talking about this. They're alluding to something else, and we cut and we see another character, who is in a stasis pod, and Ian, the character we see, it's Metal Sonic, right? Who we see?
Yeah, and then you hear Robotnik in the background. He goes, "Wahaha! With this, I will be able to marry Sarah finally."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Whoa, who's
yeah,
Sarah?" I'm really interested.
yeah. Because obviously, as we all know, it had to be Metal Sonic in the third movie. There was no other character,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
who.
literally, I mean, with these kinds of films, like they're contractually obligated to only put the characters in the movie that were in the game. So, like Sonic 2, obviously, it had Sonic and Knuckles, so they put them into the movie.
Mhm.
So, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
understand.
No, of course, yeah, and and Amy too. We saw her in the post credit scene. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I thought it was a really bold choice. They actually also showed Chaos and Tikal. So
I
Sonic
thought it
3
was I thought it was really mean though whenever the little elevator popped up and Snively popped out and he's like, "Ooh, I'm not alone." And there was little red eyes and they still didn't show who it was. I thought that was kind of a troll move and it made me really want to, like, the person next to me, like if they didn't get up to leave, like I might have been arrested that night. So,
Are we done being jerks? Should we actually talk about the post credit scene now?
I mean, I'm always up to be a jerk, but I guess if we have a time limit, we should probably get to it.
All right. So it's Shadow. I was right.
Yeah, you
Uh,
were
I,
right.
I accept your apologies, internet.
You shouldn't. They don't deserve it.
You're right. It's funny. For anyone who wants a good chuckle, go to that video.
And read the
Click
comments.
no, yeah, click sort by newest, and just scroll to the bottom and work your way up and just watch them transform from "you're an idiot" and obviously Shadow won't be in the third one. It'll be Metal Sonic. It wouldn't make any sense for Shadow to be in the third one too. Oh, you were right.
Oopsies.
But yeah, so it's Shadow. We see him. I mean, from the moment the character drops the line, 50 years ago, you know who it's gonna be. So we see him. Yeah, yeah, again, it's weird because like I saw it coming. Like I made that video saying like it's gonna be Shadow, but still like just that moment in the theater where you like it's Shadow, like you're seeing Shadow in a movie. Like it was nuts.
Yeah, that's the other thing where I'm like, wow, there's going to be a new generation of kids who actually think Shadow is cool. What a world.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I will say that's one thing I'm looking forward to with the third movie is basically I'm just very interested to see how anyone that's not Sega handles this character.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing they have to do is they have to shoot a little girl. If they don't do that, they're pansies.
Well,
Uh,
do you think they do that or do you think that I feel like they got it, right? Like
you have to. That's literally part of. That's like the important part of his backstory is that a little girl dies. Like,
yeah.
sure, if you don't want to like shoot her with a gun, whatever, but you have to kill a little girl. It's non-negotiable.
Uh, okay. How about we compromise? Maybe you have it be like the facility they're in for some reason is like self-destructing or it's being destroyed by whatever, and then she puts him in the escape pod, and then he goes off, and she dies, but like it's a kind of ambiguous, like oh no, some stuff fell on her, rather than she gets cornered by a gun agent and shot. Um,
Yeah.
Although I don't know, I mean the friggin' 4 Kids dub of Sonic X still had her be shot. I mean they cut around it obviously, but like actually controversial opinion. I think the 4 Kids dub of that part of Sonic X is actually edited better. Um
Oh.
well, because like in the Japanese version, it's like he fires the gun and then they cut to like the soldier being like, "Oh, I shot the kid." But in the 4 Kids dub, he goes, "Stop," and Maria pulls the thing, and it just cuts to him, and it's like I would argue that's almost worse because like what happened, but like I don't know. The comments can yell at me about that, but regardless, one thing I was thinking about was which hadn't even occurred to me until like yesterday, is the space colony arc, because it's like I think in terms of like a general movie audience, it is asking a lot for them to just believe like, oh yeah, no, there's just like a space colony up above the Earth that we just haven't mentioned, like.
I mean, my thing has always been that if, like, regardless of even these movies, I'm like, if I ever had the chance to do like a Sonic movie and introduce Shadow, is we cut the arc and instead of Shadow trying to send it crashing into the Earth, instead he awakens Chaos and he's collecting the emeralds to create that. and that's what Gerald puts in his brain as like, oh, you're gonna flood the world, basically. That's the punishment or whatever. And then you combine a good villain with a good apocalyptic, the best of the monster demigods or whatever, in my opinion. I know you like Mephiles, which he's my second favorite, but Chaos is really iconic. He's super easy to like have cool fights around because every time he shows up he has a new form. And then 3, we already know that Gerald was studying Angel Island and the Master Emerald and all that stuff, and literally recreating the Master Emerald shrine. And there's theories that like the Bio Lizard is kind of like a facsimile of like Perfect Chaos. It literally has like his shriek in his voice. So like, and there's like artificial chaos on the Ark. So like, just cut the nonsense and just make it that Shadow, he has to bring chaos, and that is what he's going to use to flood the world. Scrap the Ark, then you get 2 good villains.
Ian, holy shit, that's a good idea.
And then you get Super Shadow and Super Sonic fighting Perfect Chaos at the end.
Oh, man.
And then if you don't want to, and then instead of Shadow falling from Earth, you just have him fall into the ocean and he presumably drowns.
Oh, man. Or you could just cut the bullshit and just have it be like, no, he's alive. Like,
oh yeah. I just mean if you actually want to kill him, like that's your replacement.
Yeah, God, that is like, oh man, that is such a good idea. And I'm so mad that is almost certainly not what they're gonna do. And like you have the movie end with like Shadow being like, oh well, we beat Perfect Chaos, but like who knows what else the professor set into motion, so I have to go deal with that. And then that launches his Paramount Plus spin-off show.
Where he goes and fights those damn black creatures.
do you think they do you think they have Shadow be part alien in this series?
No, I don't think they're gonna bother with any of that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna touch Black Doom with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you could maybe do like a throwaway line, like if you don't have like that be a big part of it.
There'll probably be like a thing where it's like him on a monitor and like it says like DNA for it's like black creature DNA 100%, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah. Well, one thing I think is interesting is I remember one criticism I saw of putting Shadow in the third movie was that was the idea like, well, we're already putting Knuckles in the second one, having another rival show up. But I think the difference with Shadow is that with Knuckles in this movie is like he's like, I just want my shit back. Like I just want my glowy rock so I can go home. But with Shadow, he wants to kill everyone. So it's a very different conflict,
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and also like there's just like a different dynamic between Shadow and Eggman than Knuckles and Eggman, where like Knuckles is being tricked, So
yeah. All right. So yeah, I think that's about all we can say on Shadow for now. I mean, I think we're both expecting Super Shadow to probably show up in the next one because that's the only way you can really top Super Sonic in this one.
Yeah.
But so I feel like we can just quickly move on to talking about what's next. What are we expecting to see? And I actually have a comment from someone. If you guys don't know, on our podcast Sonic Comic Chaos, we have a segment called Ace and Ian read your comments, or Ian and Ace read your comments. I forgot which one. But so we got a question on that one that I actually wanted to respond to here because it was pertaining to the movie. And oh god, is it not on this video? I know. Did they delete the comment? I wanted to.
They were ashamed.
Well, okay. I can't. I'm sorry. Whoever you are, I can't find your comment, but I'm gonna paraphrase it. Basically, the idea that was them asking, like, do you think it's possible we see non-game characters in the movie, like the Freedom Fighters or Cosmo or the Metarex? Ian, you want to crush their dreams, or should I?
I think it's funnier if I do it. Your life is a lie, and anything you believe that the idea of these characters ever appearing is a pitiful existence that you try to live in order to enjoy things that aren't going to come back. Pre-boot Sonic's never coming back. I'm never getting Sally again. I'm never getting Scourge. I'm never getting Mina. And you bringing up this comment just opens up a giant wound in my soul, and I hate you.
Ian, we literally have a podcast where we talk about that comic, though.
Oh, hope restored. Never mind. It's possible.
But anyway, yeah, no, I don't. Unless this franchise like takes off like a rocket and we get like 12 sequels and they start running out of characters, like then maybe you'll get like the Meta-X Saga as a movie. Which, like, here's the thing, I'd be down for. The Meta-X Saga is awesome from Sonic X, but like, I don't see it. I'd like it, but like, I don't see it
There might
happening.
be a reference. There might be some references and stuff like that, but I highly doubt those characters would appear.
Yeah.
The only way Sally, Acorn, and them are going to ever appear is if Ian Flynn continues to seed them somehow in like Frontiers or something, and eventually they're just like, oh, you could put them in, Mr. Flynn. And even then, I think you're more likely to see Tangle and Whisper in a movie than any of the other characters, because they are in video games, they're in official Sonic media. And I think it's only a matter of time before they appear in like a Sonic game, like a big one. Like I think it could happen because they have like actual merchandise and they sell really well. People really like them. Sega's aware of that people really like them. So I mean, you could hold out hope for them. I think that's possible, but I don't think it's for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. But so we're getting a Knuckles show, and I would bet we're gonna get a Shadow show after that third movie comes out. Like, as long as the franchise remains profitable, if the Knuckles show does well, I think 100% Shadow gets a show.
Oh yeah, people would love that.
But focusing more on the Knuckles show, so you got people talking about like Chaos and Tikal wanting them in the third movie. What if they show up in the Knuckles show?
Yeah, exactly. You could set up a lot of stuff through that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you could probably see the Chaotix there, maybe. The only issue I would have with Tikal, right? Because I was thinking like, oh, what if you had Tikal, but like you didn't have her be dead? Like you just had her like be a character and like hang out with the main cast. But I can already see it. I can visualize in my head where it's like Knuckles is chasing like this cloaked figure who's like talking about like, oh well, we can't bring back Chaos, and then she takes off the cloak and Knuckles goes, what? You're a good girl? Then we have to watch some stupid romance between the two of them for the entire series. I could like, don't tell me you can't see them doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. And then outside of that, I don't know. Just if you could just give me Silver in Sonic 4, I would greatly appreciate that. But yeah.
I think Silver's more likely to show up than we think.
You think? I want to think so.
I mean, he's one of the big characters. I think that is easy to market. Like even regardless of like popularity, he's another hedgehog. He has psychic powers, and his whole thing is he comes from the future and he wants to fight Sonic. There's your movie.
Yeah. Okay. You've convinced me. But yeah. No, I think that's everything. That's everything that I really have to say about the movie. Ian, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, not really. I probably give the movie like a 6 out of 10. I think it's above average. I think there's some good stuff to take away from it, like Knuckles and a few of the action scenes that were really enjoyable. And Jim Carrey just kind of hanging out. That was fun. But otherwise, I think there's just too many times where, Tails would be on screen. I don't really care. Sonic would be doing stuff and I'd be kind of annoyed. The humans would be popping in and out. And it was really just Knuckles that was consistently good throughout the whole thing. And it did end on a high note. I think the final scene in the baseball fields is adorable and very, very enjoyable. So it definitely doesn't leave you with a bad taste in your mouth. And I'm looking forward to more of this. And overall, regardless of if I didn't love it as much as I wish I had, it's a movie that is appealing to a lot of different people, and I'm very happy for that because I have my Sonic, I have my Shadow, my Knuckles, my Tails, and so I'm glad that a new generation gets to have that. So no matter what, I'm very thankful that this movie franchise is successful and exists, and I hope it continues to do well. So, and hopefully I'll get to come along for the ride and enjoy a lot of it more too. So,
yeah, if we can manage to bring you back to life before the third one comes out.
Oh, he's hoping.
But so I have very similar opinions. Again, like this movie, I would argue that the moments in this movie that work are worth the price of admission. That scene with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles working together, the supersonic scene, the post-credits scene. I think the character stuff, really works when it works, it works. And when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think the scenes where it doesn't work are fewer than the ones that do. I'm bad with number scores because it's just hard to keep them consistent. But I would say if for some reason you made it this far and you haven't seen the movie, first of all, I'm sorry that none of this has made sense. But second of all, go see it. Again, I'm not rushing to see it again. If anything, like I'm more so rushing to like see parts of it again. Again, I think it's similar to No Way Home, where it's like after No Way Home, I wasn't in a rush to watch like the first half of that movie again. I was in a rush to watch the second half. Whereas with this one, it's like I'm more like want to rewatch like that third act.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, good time. If you enjoyed listening to this, please check out our podcast, Sonic Comic Chaos. We release it sometimes, but yeah, Ian, do you want to plug your channel real quick before we go?
Yeah, so my channel's Ian Waffles, where I pretty much just make videos once in a blue moon. Currently working on a Kingdom Hearts 2 video. It's being edited as we speak, so it should be out within the next couple months. Just talking about how that game uses Disney and Final Fantasy characters to enhance its story. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, check that out. Otherwise, I'll probably just keep appearing here because that's usually, I guess, what I do is I just appear in other people's channels instead of my own. So.
And I'll be here.
Good.
Yep. Anyway.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.